for watching. This is James Robertson with WorkSpace Real Estate, and today we are going to talk about the 610 market here. That's 610 North. I call it the near North Loop. So pretty much from 45 and 610 all the way down to, let's say, 290. Market changes once you get to Post Oak near the Galleria area. So we're going to start off. I have a client that is actually working on a renewal right now, and they're focusing on specifically office space. The square footage, this is for comps, so I'm going to go ahead and show just pretty much entry-level size spaces, which is 1,500 square feet to about 3,500 square feet of space. The asking rent I'm going to leave open because we want to look at comps here, and I'm going to make sure that it's office space. So let me go ahead and section off the area that we're looking for. I'm going to stop shy of 45 just because the market changes. It's a little bit cheaper around 45. Oh, hold on. I did the Beltway instead of 610. Okay, here we go. We zoom in a little bit. Okay, so now we're doing 610 here. I just want to focus on the freeway area. Okay, so they say there's 23 properties here. Let me try to get you another view so you guys can see what these properties look like. So when we think about the North Loop, these buildings over here, this cluster is pretty unique. The pricing here is pretty competitive. You know, this is like 14, 15 here, which is a boxer property, I believe now. Then there's an individual owner here. I think this is a Jatal building. But there's just a few large buildings here. Occupancy rate has been over 80% for these buildings. They've done well in the marketplace. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons that they've done so well is you look at, there's just not a lot of inventory besides these in this area. And if we go on this side here, you have higher class A buildings that are more expensive over on this end. So the market rate here is about 30% more expensive, but they're larger. They have more amenities than the other buildings here. But that's one of the reasons. So as the market has been growing here in Houston, people are looking for value, and this cluster of buildings has been a great place that they've been able to find some. So let's go ahead and see what these rates actually are. I'm going to go ahead and screen out everybody else just to make sure we don't have any trash here. Only existing properties. Okay, I think that'll do it. Let's look at the results. Okay, so if I sort this by rental rate, it's pretty good to see that most of the properties here are showing their rates. Sometimes you have a lot of people withholding the rates here, so you have to call in, which is a pain. But when you look at the rates, I want to show you a few standouts. 1415 North Loop. It's amazing to see the graduation in rental rates for some of these spaces here. Now this is a boxer property here. Right now it's leasing at about they're saying 21 to 25 bucks a foot plus electricity. Let's see if we can look at the history of a building like this. I do remember it being much lower. Okay, let's just focus on the rents. Okay, so way back in 2007, these were at $16 a foot or $16.50. It held steady it dropped down to $15 a foot in 2011, and then it's been steadily climbing. Now we're at almost $23 a foot. Let's see if I can. So here's a better viewpoint of 1415. This is one of the loss leaders in this area. You can see here that the rental rates in 2011 were closer to 15 bucks a foot. Looks like it was going up and then flatlined right back at 15, and it's been gradually going up. Now, this has been below market because you can see the North Loop market here where we've been going, and the market's been pretty steady. But these guys have been catching up, mainly because there's not a lot of Class C space here. You can also see the vacancy rate drop substantially as well, you know, after 2012. And it dropped from over 40% to 20%. Now it's, you know, basically full. It really shows the desire for finding value in this space. Let's pick another one. So here's 1225 North Loop. Let me show you the pictures first so you can see which one we're talking about. Okay, so this is 1225 here. It was built in 1984. This is a Class A office building. So this is definitely going to be on the higher end of the rental rate. Now this is saying $22 a foot full gross lease, which is not a bad value at all for a space like this. I mean, the curb appeal is great. You know, with the amenities here, they're going to be on par with other Class A spaces. So there's surface spaces, there's covered parking as well, there's reserved parking. Let's see if we can get some more details here. Excuse me while this thing loads. I'm sorry it's taking so long. So here, when we look at the history, vacancy rates here in 2011 were a little bit north of 10%. Looks like they had some good activity as the year went on. Then all of a sudden it shot up to almost 20% in 2012, and it looks like the vacancy rate has been steadily climbing. Now compare that to the other space that was at a lower rate that you saw the vacancy rates totally switching. Now you can see the rental rate here has been pretty steady as well, which shows that even though they are losing tenants, they are holding firm to the rental rate at about 22 bucks a foot. Now 2500 TC Jester, this building used to be owned by the FBI at one point, then Boxer took it over. And let me let you guys see what this looks like as far as the picture goes. Now 2500 TC Jester, beautiful curb appeal. This is one of the only buildings in this part of the market where you can see downtown and the Galleria from the same viewpoints. Boxer went in, you know, they're showing most of their improvements here. They changed the lobby area. They did some updates with some of the suites. Well, with a lot of the suites actually. They did a great job with a building that already looked attractive. They cleaned it up, and parking is good. There's a couple of parking could be an issue here depending on who are the current tenants. They did have a problem getting a bunch of heavy parking use tenants here for a while. Now their rental rate is at 22 bucks a foot plus electricity. Now at one point these guys were at $14 a foot. Just to put this in perspective, let me see if I can find the data on that, because I know from the deals I was doing where they were. But let's see if we can actually show you how much this has grown. So the vacancy rate here, this is obviously when FBI was selling the property here. So it was empty for a while. Boxer took it over, and you can see the ramp up here was very quick from 2012 to 2013. They essentially almost filled the building up. I personally was leasing this. This is when our company took over the leasing for this here. Okay, and that was one of the fastest ramp up periods we had in leasing up the property. As far as your gross rents, you can see here the $14, $15 rate I was talking about, and the steady increase now to 20 bucks a foot. It's kind of grown with the market. It's been below market here, but it's kind of grown with it. I think this was always a tremendous value because of the type of property. You were getting a really good bang for your buck here when they were at 15 bucks a foot and the rest of the market was close to 20. Now it's what and what, right? And they can do that because they're almost full. There's literally only about 2 or 3 spaces left in that building right now. So let's take a look at another property here on the North Loop. Okay, the curb appeal, in my opinion, is not as nice. This is 91% occupied. This was built in 1993. I'm sorry, it was built in 1981. It was renovated in 1993. The rental rate here is close to the same. So you can see these guys are trying to stay competitive right at that $20 mark. Now they're keeping steady rent rates, and the occupancy is also very good. So that shows if I'm a landlord, I'm going to stay confident in these rates because the tenants are there and they're staying there. So here's another example. Vacancy rates steadily declining, which is good for that building. The rental rates here have been fairly steady, actually, I would say. When you see the 16 to 18 bucks a foot, they're really staying in line, and it shows that it's below the market here for this type of property. Okay, now we're going to 1235 North Loop. I'm going to zoom past some of these pretty quickly. I just want you guys to get an idea of what the market looks like here. That's a really nice picture of that building. It doesn't look as nice in person, in my opinion. It's still a very nice building, though. 1235 here, the Telemundo building. It was recently redone. Many of you guys will remember this as it was like a bluish or grayish color when they redid it. Now the inside is still dated. That's why it's not one of my favorites, because the inside still needs some renovation done. For the price point, you can get a better look and feel for 20 bucks a foot. Some of the other ones we just saw are like that. It does have a lot of parking, which is good. Let's see if we can take a quick look at their history. Now they're going to demand more rental rates and be less compromising on their concessions because of the improvements they just recently did to the space. So we can see here that with the market being closer to 22 bucks a foot, these guys are a little bit closer to 18 bucks a foot, which was appropriate. You're starting to see this rise up here because of the recent renovations that are done. The whole market's going to be creeping up, but that's going to be very, very typical. Let's see if we can take a few more standouts. We can go through each one, but I'm going to show you guys kind of the best that I see in the market and some of the worst plays that I see here. Now this is a Class C office that was held. I'm not going to go through that because we don't see the data on it. So here's a loss leader. This one is built in 1976. They're quoting $12 rates, and you can see why. I mean, this building is not, it still needs work. It was sold for $1.5 million. It looks like a single owner property here. This is in the Brookhollow area. This is one of those properties that I would only look at if I was looking to just save as much money as possible. I've actually toured this space. You know, it's a typical dated building. You can see here, it does have a little bit of covered parking here. It's basically empty right now. The asking rent is $12 a foot plus triple net, which would bring it to about $14 or $15 a foot. And it's pretty far removed from the market. But this is what you would get for $14 or $15 a foot, and that's why I wanted to point that out. Now let's compare that to what we would get for a $20 property. Here's your average $20 property. Let's take a look. So this is one we just saw. This is your average $20 property. Built in 1981, renovated in 1993. Better curb appeal, larger, more parking. It's going to be more centralized right on the freeway. So for not too much more, you can see why people would gravitate toward this in the marketplace. Now let's look at the high end of what you would get. And we're going to try to find the true Class A property out here. You know what? I think I did not include my boundaries far enough to get these Class A spaces. Let's see. No, they should be right here. There are a couple of really nice Class A spaces I want to show you guys. There we go. Okay, so the Brookhollow spaces here, these are $19 a foot plus triple net. So we're talking about $27 a foot as compared to about $20 a foot. You know, actually, it could be a little bit more expensive. Let's see, they're saying $16.50 plus triple net, and the triple net costs are, let's see if they have the estimates here. We need to ask them for it, for the triple net cost. Last time I remember, the OPEX here is 7, taxes is 9, so it's close to $10 a foot. So you're talking about $26.50, $26 to $27 a foot. Still not very bad at all. When you take a Class A space like this and put this in another part of the market, you're going to pay substantially more for it. So it's got great curb appeal. It's an iconic building. You know, they have huge lobby areas. It's really a great value. I think the Class B and Class C spaces we looked at in this marketplace, they're going to start to run into some issues if they continue to raise rates when they get too close in price to these guys here. If these guys stay steady, and let's look at the analytics to see where they are. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So if these guys stay steady in their rent, the market's going to catch up to them, and what we're going to see is this vacancy rate starting to decline a little bit. Right now it's gone up because the market slowed down. The larger companies that were affected, that were connected with oil and gas, they were typically in buildings like this. 2017, as that moves forward, I think you're going to see Class B, Class C, they're going to continue to go up. If these guys continue to stay flat, there's going to be greater and greater opportunity to lease in these buildings and take advantage of some of the really, really nice amenities that these buildings have. So just a quick run through this list again, because we can spend a lot more time going into detail here. But if I had to summarize, I would tell you that the rental rates here for comps, you know, we would knock out the $12 a foot type deal here. It's really going to be from $15 to about $23 a foot is the general range. For Class B stuff, I mean, you're going to be hovering close to 20, and very, very comfortably so. So I'm going to print out this list so that you guys can have all of these options to look at here. I'll try to put a link in the video so you can download it. If you're not able to get that, just call me and I'll send you the information. I'm also going to try to highlight the properties that I think are true comps for this market, ones that we would use to kind of compare, even properties that we would look at to move to, if in a pinch and if looking for value. There are a couple of really good properties here that have great management, that are really fair about their pricing. So I hope this video was helpful. If you need more information, always please don't hesitate to give me a call. Thanks a lot.